Alrighty guys, so I've got some more fragrances here that I've just bought. It's not going to be first impressions because I've already tested all these, but I'll let you know what I think about them. Except for this is probably not as new as the other ones. I've worn this a bunch, but I haven't reviewed it yet. That's Polo Deep Blue by Ralph Lauren. And basically, we got Armani Code Absolute, Youp Homme EDP, Calvin Klein Defire, Chanel Allura Homme Sport. So basically, I bought a little sample bottle of the O Extreme version. Then I've got here was the original Allura Homme Sport because I thought I'd like this one better. Then here we got Choo Man Ice. And then Boss the Scent Absolute. So actually, I've got a sample of the scent Private Accord. I ended up just going to the chemist and I seen this bottle there and I sampled it and I liked it, so I bought it. But I prefer the scent I prefer Private Accord over Absolute. If you can get Private Accord, I think it's more fresh than that. It's got a little bit of citrus in it and it just kind of, it's way more fresh. So we may as well talk about Boss the Scent Absolute. Okay, and the bottle, they only gave me a tiny little bottle of this. It's tiny. And the lid's a little bit bad. It doesn't click on that well, but it is a cute bottle. I love this. The problem is I think all the scent bottles look the same and there's no real way to distinguish the difference between a lot of them. My first impressions of this were it was kind of fresh and sweet, but not fresh as in like blue or any of these other ones. It was just, it's got a freshness to it as in fruity. There's like some fruity smell in there, like when you first spray it and it opens up with this freshness. I've got the notes on my laptop. It says there's only 3 notes in there, but you can smell a little bit more complexity in this. It's definitely fruity from the Maninka. There is a little bit of freshness from that ginger in there. It says there is vetiver, which I don't know if I can smell the vetiver, but I think I got a little tester strip here. It's very fruity. It's sweet, almost like you'd expect some vanilla or something in there, but they don't say it has vanilla. It may be even like slight cacao note, so it's a little bit chocolatey, a little bit vanilla-y, and fruity ginger, but it does have this freshness that I like, at least on paper anyway, because I noticed this smells different on paper than on clothes. But I like this. It's probably one of the most underrated from the scent line, honestly, because most people are talking about the other scent, but this is Absolute. And I think this one's really flies under people's radar how good it actually is. This and Private Accord are like my 2 favorite from the scent line. So yeah, that's a little bit chocolatey, vanilla-y, fruity, and there's like a little bit of freshness in there, but it's not a fresh fragrance, unlike Private Accord, where I would consider Private Accord to actually be more of a fresh fragrance, because it does have a lot of citrus in there that's really brightening it up. And this, I think this is great. I really like this, but I haven't worn it too much. I've worn it maybe like two times on my clothes, and I think the performance is not bad. It does perform like alright. So next here we have Code Absolute. So what actually happened was I bought a sample of Profumo. I loved Profumo because it smelled fresh in the opening. It had a little bit of woodiness. It smelled a little bit like 1 Million in the opening. So I figured everyone was talking about Absolute, and they're like, okay, Absolute is supposed to be better than Profumo. And luckily I only bought like a small bottle, but I didn't like this as much as Profumo because of a few different reasons. Like, it's too sweet. it doesn't have that freshness like Profumo has. Straight off from the opening, it's just basically, okay, and the notes are, it says there's apple, mandarin, nutmeg, vanilla, tonka suede, and woody notes. And you do get the vanilla, you do get the spice. There's like some kind of spice in here. I think it's nutmeg or suede. But it's definitely, it's very peppery, leathery, spicy vanilla. So yeah, it's like a leathery vanilla, which is really weird. Because even though Profumo has leather in it, it doesn't smell as spicy as this. And not as sweet as this. So this is kind of just like a sweet bomb that's got this weird spicy leatheriness to it. I let my sister try it to see if she liked it, and she really hated this. So I don't know if that's worth anything that matters to anyone, but yeah. My sister hated this, and I wasn't a big fan either. I kind of just blind bought this without testing it first, and I'd say I do regret buying this because I didn't like it as much as I thought I would. But it does perform really good, so if you want something that lasts a long time, that will last 48 hours or longer on your clothes. It lasts a long time because it's very strong. But yeah, it is vanilla, spicy, leather, will last a long time. Maybe that's why I didn't like it as much as well. It's just really strong. And with the Profumo version, when it dries down a little softer, it's like a little bit softer and more oriental. So I think the Profumo, yeah, has a nicer dry down in my opinion, definitely. And it's a little bit more unique, the Profumo version. This is like not that unique, but yeah, so depends what you like. I prefer Profumo over Absolute. I think this is overrated for sure. So Upom, this was one that I had tested in the shop on test strip. I loved it when I first tested it. So this is a flanker to the original. Instead of having the red liquid in the bottle, it's in brown. So that's already an improvement. It doesn't look red and fake like the other one. So immediately you can, it's got a good atomizer on it as well, I should say that. So even though it's brown, it does actually, it leaves some color on the test strip. There's like a little bit of red on the test strip, and that explains why it stained my clothes when I used it, because I sprayed it on a white shirt and it had stained my shirt completely and completely ruined my t-shirt. But for the price, this is probably the longest lasting perfume you can buy. I don't think anything is gonna outlast Upom, and the price was only like $49 for me, I think. And this stuff, it does smell amazing on paper, but that is deceptive. If you spray it on skin or clothes, it smells nothing like on paper. This has some freshness on paper, that freshness isn't there when you spray it on your clothes. But this, I will say, it's a really nice scent, but it's not wearable. It's like not something you would actually wear, but it's something you would just love to smell on paper. So I can keep going back and smelling it on paper as much as I want, but I'd never actually wear it. I've worn it once and it choked me out. It was too strong. It was just too sweet. It's an example of when performance isn't always better. I think it's just too strong. And yeah, it does smell like the original, like people say, but it's actually sweeter than the original. It's just a little bit more modern, a little bit more improved, but I wish it kept the freshness that the original had with the citrus notes, because this, I think they removed like 1 or 2 different citrus notes out of this and they made it less sweet. Less fresh. So this is just, yeah, too sweet, but it smells like bubble gum, but not the same kind of bubble gum that Ultra Male smells like. So Ultra Male also has a bubble gum smell and it's vanilla. This is bubblegum and vanilla if you look at the notes. The notes say that there is cinnamon, hazelnut, bergamot, heliotrope, honey, cardamom, tonka, vanilla, sandalwood. But yeah, you don't really smell anything besides the heliotrope and overly sweet. Alright, so I don't know what happened, but my camera just stopped working for a second, so I just had to delete some stuff off there, and yeah, we're talking about this. So you can't really smell much of the notes in the Upom, besides the overly sweet bubblegum scent and the heliotrope, which I think that's what gives it the bubblegum smell, is the heliotrope. You don't smell cinnamon or hazelnut or bergamot or cardamom, or I don't even smell vanilla in there, honestly. All I can smell is like bubblegum. That's like heliotrope bubblegum, and that's it. It's like really syrupy sweet. But yeah, if you like that, then maybe you like that bubblegum smell, you should get it. Let me just fix my camera for a sec. That's better. Alright, I just fixed the camera, and yeah, we'll go next. Polo Deep Blue, Ralph Lauren Deep Blue, I mean. So, there's already a decent dent in this because I've used it a bunch of times. And it's only a small 75ml bottle, which I wish I had bought bigger because this stuff is great. Right off the top, it's aquatic, it's blue, it's very strong. There is citrus in it, but it's not citrus dominated. People say there's, like I said, there's mango, grapefruit, bergamot, cypress, sage, geranium, sea notes, ambroxan, musk, patchouli. Yeah, don't worry about all those notes because it really doesn't matter. All you're going to smell is aquatic, maybe a little bit of citrus, a little bit fruity, a little bit woody, which I don't know where that's coming from. Yeah, sea notes, mango, patchouli. Don't overthink it. It's just a nice aquatic, fresh fragrance that lasts forever. It smells like Versace Pour Homme without as much citrus in it. So it's like a more mature version of Pour Homme. Yeah, if you wanted Versace Pour Homme that lasts forever, then Deep Blue Parfum is the one you want to get. This is great. I like it. It's one of my favorites. It's instantly my favorite. And I don't know if there's different versions of this, but this is the Parfum. Yeah, the Parfum version. And yeah, it's so good. Just buy it. Just trust me, buy this. It's cheap. It's great. Well, actually, it's not that cheap. It's about, I think at retail price, it's $130, but I got this on sale, so you can buy it on sale and get it cheaper. But this stuff, I wear this all the time. It's like one of my favorite fragrances ever. Just because I don't really like citrus that much, but I love aquatic. And this just really has that aquatic freshness that you want. It's like, it's not original, so don't expect it to be like an original scent, but it's great. The next is Calvin Klein Defy, which I got this for $69. And this is a nude fragrance, I believe. I believe it's a nude. So what does this smell like? There's only actually 3 notes in there. Oh no, there's not 3. There is, yeah, 3. There's 3 notes. Bergamot, lavender, vetiver. So I'm actually going to spray this again, because the problem with this is it actually doesn't last long at all. It's very weak. It doesn't perform well, but it smells great. So I had to actually figure out what it smells like, because it smells like something really familiar, and it took me forever to figure it out, and then I figured it out. It's like, you know that dry down of Bleu de Chanel? The actual dry down where it's a little bit citrus and woody? That's what this is like. It's like the dry down of Bleu de Chanel. So if you want like a good Bleu de Chanel clone for way cheaper, like I think it may even be like just half the price. Yeah, it's less than half the price. So this is great. I mean, more than half the price? No, less than half the price. Oh, it doesn't matter. It's cheaper and it gives you the similar kind of dry down, but obviously nowhere near as good. And it is a little bit different. This is vetiver, not wood. So it does have a woody smell because the vetiver is just not the same. So it's citrus and vetiver. You won't really smell lavender though. It's just citrus and wood, or citrus and vetiver. But it smells kind of aquatic, citrusy, fresh, woody. And I'm not a big fan of Calvin Klein fragrances, but this is probably their best that I've actually smelled, because it does actually smell kind of natural. Well, not too natural, but I mean, it's not a mess like all the other fragrances. This is simple, and some of the other fragrances are just a mess of jumbled stuff. But this, yeah, no, they've definitely done a good job with this. I hope this takes off more and more people like it. Don't trust the reviews, because everyone will just give it a bad score on Fragrantica because it's not original. it doesn't perform well, but don't worry about originality, uniqueness, or performing well, because it's cheap and it smells great, and that's all you need. Cheap and good smelling. And you can overspray that because you can pick up another bottle whenever you want. It's not expensive. Yeah, and the next is Chanel Allure Home Sport. This is the original Chanel Allure Home Sport. And you all know what the bottle looks like. That's the bottle, and it is a fingerprint magnet because it's like steel, I think. So what are the differences between this and O Extreme? Not much, honestly. It has the mandarin opening, okay? So it opens up a citrus or mandarin. I believe it's, yeah, orange and mandarin, which you can't really smell that. But the difference between this and O Extreme are apparently the C notes, and this has vanilla in it. Vanilla and C notes, but you won't actually smell any of the C notes in there. You'll just smell orange, tonka, and vanilla. That's all you'll smell, orange, tonka, vanilla. But the tonka and vanilla are so subtle, they don't come out until the dry down, and it's not very strong. Like, I bought this over O Extreme because I figured the vanilla was going to be way more noticeable, but I still don't get much vanilla or tonka out of this, surprisingly. So you don't need to get the O Extreme version over this because they're basically identical. There's basically no difference in terms of smell. And this is cheaper, so don't get the O Extreme, get the original. But this does perform better, so that's another reason to get this over O Extreme. It performs way better, but it smells exactly the same. Maybe the tiniest bit more sweet, just because of the vanilla in there, okay? But yeah, this has got to be in my top 5. Yeah, I put this in my top 5 favorite fragrances now because I'm always looking for balance between fresh and sweet. And this has that balance of fresh and sweet, even though the sweetness is very subtle. It's not that noticeable until the dry down. But that means you can wear it in summer, but you probably could wear it in cold weather too, because it's not as aquatic as Polo Blue. I mean, not Polo Blue, Deep Blue, sorry. Alright, so I think that's already self-explanatory. Everyone knows Allure Home Sport because it's been around for a minute. Everyone knows it. There's not much I can say that people haven't already said about it. So next is Choo Man Ice, and I haven't actually opened this. I've only smelt the tester at the chemist. And all I can say is this stuff is citrusy and woody, maybe some slight white floral in there. Choo Man Ice, and this is great. This is great stuff. So immediately, this is very refreshing. This is like the name says, ice. And that's because it opens up very cold. Like, I think it might be alcohols or something in there. But it's very cold and refreshing and citrusy, okay? So the notes are orange, bergamot, apple, cedar, vetiver, patchouli, ambroxan, musk, and citron. But don't worry about that. It just smells like wood. So you do get bergamot, mandarin. Okay, no, you don't really get much of those. You kind of get, it just smells like a mix of citrus. So your typical citrus smell, but it doesn't smell like, okay, I think it smells a little bit more like a cross between lemon and mandarin. So like a bit of both, actually, yeah. And then you get wood, and I don't think I get much apple in there. I'll have to test this a few more times anyway, because this is my first time actually testing it since I bought it. I swear the testers at the shop are stronger or something than this. The sample bottles at the shop seem way stronger, because it was way more different at the shop. Maybe I bought the wrong one. Did I buy the wrong one? That would be a bad mistake if I did. Okay, but yeah, this is great. It's good stuff. It's not the cheapest, but that's something that's super versatile. You could wear all the time. Citrus, wood, a little bit of apple, which I don't really notice anyway, the apple in there. Citrus and wood. So the notes are very similar to Calvin Klein Defy. Let's see what compare the smells. Okay, I actually think Calvin Klein Defy is stronger than the Choo Man Ice. So this Jimmy Choo Man Ice doesn't perform very well, okay? I'm just going to say it does not perform very well. It's not very strong. And it actually makes the Calvin Klein Defy smell way more citrusy and woody. So, yeah, you could even buy the Calvin Klein Defy over this, honestly. But this does smell cleaner, lighter, fresher. So, if you want a cleaner, lighter, fresher scent, the Jimmy Choo Man Ice is great. But now I'm convinced, maybe I'm just nose blind at the moment.